You're listening to the Get Meal Prep Show, a podcast about meal planning strategies that help you positively nourish your body, learn about nutrition, and most importantly, get dinner on the table. You know that this is a podcast for you if you've ever thought, oh no, it's 3 o'clock and I have no idea what's for dinner. We dive deep into meal planning methods and meal planning strategies that help you prepare healthy home-cooked meals that doesn't leave you feeling like you're tied down to the kitchen. I'm your host, Susan Watson, registered dietitian, certified intuitive eating counselor, and meal planning strategist for the online course Get Meal Prepped, which can be found at www.nutritionacademy.co. My team at A Nutrition Academy and my counseling practice, A Little Nutrition, has formed the Get Meal Prep method that helps people improve their eating habits by cooking whole foods and not relying all the time on convenience food products. Aside from our online course, you can work with us via our one-on-one coaching services. You can find the links to our packages in the show notes below this recording. We're so happy to have you here today and share this episode with you. If you like this episode, please subscribe to the Get Meal Prep Show on iTunes and leave a rating and review. It might not seem important, but your review can make a big impact and help us continue to deliver amazing content and keep bringing you the best meal planning strategies so that you can be the healthiest you ever. It's super easy to leave a review. You can leave a review from your podcast app. Simply search the Get Meal Prep Show, click reviews, and then write a review. We would love to hear from you. Now let's dive into today's episode.
Hi everyone, thanks for tuning into the podcast today. It's just Madelaine here. We're having a bit of a snowstorm here in Manitoba and it's caused some power outages, so unfortunately Susan can't be with us here today. But I am excited to talk about today's topic, which is 3 strategies to reduce food waste when cooking for 1 or 2 people. And I am excited to talk about this because it's probably the biggest learning curve for my personal meal planning was, and honestly continues to be, managing food waste when I'm cooking for 1 or 2 people. And I know I'm not alone because I see a number of clients express the same concern. They may feel that, you go to stores and a lot of foods are packaged to feed larger families, or the recipes that you're choosing create too many servings that you're going to tire of that food or meal. And I know for myself, being an individual who for a long time only cooked for myself or did meal planning for myself, and now for 2 people, one challenge in managing food waste is purchasing and preparing dishes that create perhaps too many servings that will be, not be touched in a timely manner. But probably a good theme from the podcast, as is planning ahead and actually figuring out how you can make it all work. So I do have 3 strategies to help prevent food waste when you're cooking for 1 or 2 people. So the first strategy is actually to create a food waste journal. So very similar to if you were creating a food journal to bring more awareness to your eating behaviors, a food waste journal is bringing awareness to perhaps the foods or meals that you have historically thrown away and the reasons why they went unused. And this is helpful because once you become more aware of how much you actually consume, and perhaps within the time frame that you are consuming them in as well, then you can have more of a game plan on how much you're actually preparing of that particular food, or how much you're actually purchasing of that particular food product as well. And it's really putting an understanding of what your typical behaviors are, and that you can just tweak your shopping and meal prep accordingly. I know for myself, I used to get way too excited about purchasing fresh produce. I used to go grocery shopping, do all my grocery shopping like once a week. And I still typically do that, but I used to purchase all of my fresh produce at the beginning of the week, and got way too excited with it. And I realized that, especially when I was just cooking for myself, that it'd be really hard to actually get through it all by the end of the week. And that, even just the freshness wasn't quite there. So that was, a bit of a learning curve where I realized, okay, what needs to actually change so that I'm utilizing all this fresh produce? So I tweaked my plan. So now I only purchase enough fresh produce that will last me about maybe 3 or 4 days after I've done that grocery run. And then I will plan to use more frozen options for the remainder of the week. Or I may also have a planned quick grocery shop, perhaps middle of the week, to get some of those fresh ingredients as well. And then again, I'm only purchasing how much that I really need. And I think that's something that for a lot of the clients that I work with, they didn't really realize this, but you can go to a store and purchase smaller portions. They don't always have to be the family style packages. So for example, one of my top examples is celery. I know for myself, I used to always buy those big bunches of celery. But again, it was something that I wasn't always using in a timely manner, or I ended up freezing, chopping it up and freezing a lot of it, which is good. But that's not the only way that I like to have my celery. So going to the store, you can actually get a stock of celery or however many you need. Same with carrots. Instead of getting a large bag of carrots, although they stay pretty well fresh in your fridge for a long time, is that I would only pick up the amount that I would need. Another example would be, let's say if you even want to get some meat products like chicken breast, and you didn't want to get the family size pack. You can actually go to the deli counter and ask them for, I only need 1 or 2 chicken breasts. You can do that, and that reduces the cost, as well as that it can save you perhaps some space or the food waste as well, depending on how you're using it too. So a few tips there. I hope that helps. But yes, overall, create more of a food waste journal and bring awareness to what you're actually consuming. My second strategy is to actually keep meal-sized food containers available on hand. Even freezer bags can be very helpful as well. And this is just so you have a game plan for any time that you have perhaps cooked components, or if you do create dishes that create more than 1 serving, is that many things do freeze quite well. And so you could have more of a game plan of maybe freezing extra portions so that it even helps you for, having an extra meal later on in the future. And it prevents any kind of food waste too. But I do want to emphasize that keep freezing foods in meal-sized containers. So that might be a 2-cup kind of container where you can put that either cooked component or the soup or what have you in it. And the reason I mention this is that actually this is a recent example. Brian and I made slow cooker pulled pork, and it was delicious. It also made too many servings for 2 people to consume within 2 or 3 days. So we had a game plan. We knew that we weren't going to finish the extra portions or the leftovers, and instead of putting them in the fridge, we wanted to freeze them. And what we ended up doing was, we kind of estimated how much we would have the next time that we would have the pulled pork. So we got those meal-sized containers and divvied out those portions so that, you're not perhaps having 4 servings in a frozen dish, thawing that out, only using maybe 2 servings, and then still having those extra portions. I hope that makes sense. But yes, I find having those meal-sized containers can do wonders with not only saving yourself time with meal planning, but really helping to prevent any of that food waste as well. My third strategy is to look for recipes that have been scaled down to a smaller size. So oftentimes, if you find that you're looking at recipes that create far too many servings, that might be a good way to start, is to actually look for recipes that are meant to, that are made for 1 or 2 people. There's a lot of cookbooks out there that can help as well, to give you some more ideas too. I know one thing I like to make, like in the past, I've made like larger lasagnas. But now I've actually looked for recipes where it's been scaled down to make like a small casserole sized dish of lasagna. So like by like a 9 by 9 casserole dish versus like the larger ones. Because then I find that I'm not preparing, copious amounts of it, and that it's easier to use up within a certain amount of time, and I can still freeze in small containers too if needed. That said too, like if you do have recipes that you really enjoy and they happen to be, make a lot of servings, is that of course you can again like freeze them in like extra portions in those meal-sized containers and put them in the freezer. Or you can also maybe do like a meal swap with either friends or family members so that, you can even add a little bit of variety if, maybe they make recipes that are, make larger servings too, and you can do a bit more of a swap. I know that's something that sometimes I'll do with my mom. I also have a number of friends who are only cooking for 1 or 2 people, and so doing that swap, it really can be mutually beneficial. So that's sort of like a two strategy tip there. So like actually looking for scale down recipes that are meant for smaller portion sizes, or doing a bit more of that meal swap with people to kind of help out using up some of those extra portions. But I hope that you found these tips all helpful, or a way to help you think about how you can help reduce your food waste. And yeah, I really appreciate you listening to me today. And yeah, hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
Thanks so much for listening to the Get Meal Prep show. If you have any questions about today's episode, or you would like to email us, you can at info@nutritionacademy.co. We'd love to hear from you, and if you have any suggestions or different topics for the show, we'd be happy to hear from you. You can also find me on Instagram at @alittlenutrition, and I have lots of meal planning photos and tips on my stories, so I'd love to connect with you there as well. Again, that's @littlenutrition is my handle. Anyways, until next episode, see you then. Bye.